Hello, welcome to another Alpha Strike We Play video. My name is Adam. I'm the owner of Alpha Strike in Perth, Australia. And this is my friend Tarron.
Hey buddy, how we doing?
We're talking BattleTech again.
We are.
And we had someone ask a question about how do you do critical hits? Okay, so apparently there's a little bit of confusion about how it's done. I mean, I don't know if you sort of read different stuff, so we're just gonna talk about how it's actually done in the game. You have the Game of Armored Combat book from the box set. Swoosh. A good box set. If you haven't got it, guys, go out and get it because it is very good.
It's pretty good.
And we've also got the Total Warfare book, and we'll tell you the pages and what.
So the damage section starts on page 30 of Game of Armored Combat.
Yep.
And applying criticals and criticals start pretty much straight away because it's one of the big parts of it.
Yep. So the first thing we need to put up on the table is the determining critical hits.
Bing!
Okay. So as you can see on there, if this is 2 to 7, there's nothing. Then you've got 8 to 9 is 1, 10 to 11 is 2, and then 12 you get 3, or you have the option to blow a limb off. Yep. So arms and legs, and I think that also includes the head.
Yeah, so on here it actually says head or limb blown off, and then or roll 3 critical hit locations.
So that's unfortunate.
So if you hit a torso, then you get to roll 3 critical hits, but if you hit a limb or the head, it gets blown off.
Yep.
And you get to roll on this table for various reasons.
Yeah.
The most common is if you get through all the armor and into the internal structure, you get to roll.
Yep.
There are ammunitions, there are other things that will let you have a chance at rolling on that table, and you also get a chance if you roll a 2 on the hit location.
Yes, which is nice.
Which is pretty cool. So we usually call that a floating crit. In here it's got through armor critical or TAC hit.
Yeah.
Which is, cooler.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so we'll put up a little record sheet here. So this is the Locust LCT-1E.
Yep.
Which is in that box set, the Armoured Combat box set.
Nice, simple starting mech.
Yep. So it hasn't got a lot of armour, so that should speed up this process quite a bit. Okay. So if you have a look at the critical hit table section down the bottom, you can see it's got his left arm, his head, he's got all the internal locations, all right?
Yep.
So if we go to the torso, so if you have a look there, he doesn't actually have any equipment in there, right? So this is where we're going to start with this example. Let's say you've, for some reason, you decide to take on an awesome with these PPCs, right? I don't know why you do it, but there it is, okay? Or he manages to catch you unaware. He fires a PPC and he hits the left torso, all right? So looking at that, Tarron, what happens?
So he will take 8 points off the armor on his left torso.
Yep.
And then he will take 2 points of internal damage.
Okay.
Because he's got 5 points there, it hasn't actually destroyed the location, but because you did internal damage, you get to roll on the critical hit table.
Correct.
Now, if you actually roll any critical hits on here, when you look at the left torso, there are no spaces for those critical hits to apply.
Correct.
Which means you have to transfer those critical hits through to the next section with the critical hit or the transfer diagram.
Yes.
You should all have seen that, but we'll bing it anyway. Bing!
Yep. So basically, if there's no arm, the damage will go to the torso. There's no torso, it goes to the middle center torso. And then boom, that's it.
And that's the center torso is the center of the mech.
Yeah.
Basically, you can't transfer to the head, but if you can wipe out the center torso, then there's no point continuing on. It's dead. Yeah.
So that's your normal damage, but that also applies to critical chances as well.
And that's a difficult one for some people to get their head around. It's a weird one for me, but it does make sense. Okay, I think I mentioned this on another video. You've already gone through all the randomness and weirdness and effort to get the critical hit.
Yeah, you've earned the hit.
Something has been damaged. Now you just have to figure out what. So because there's nothing there, you go to here. Okay, and this is a danger for people with light mechs or with larger weapon systems that maybe they don't put a lot of stuff in.
Yeah.
If you have an empty location and you lose the armor on that location, it will transfer critical hits, and it can get ugly.
Yeah.
Very ugly.
So if you have a look at, because the Locust, when they've designed it, they've put weapons and things on the arm because it gives you more freedom for targeting.
Yes.
Which is good, and it still has like shoulders and upper actuators and things like that. So these locations can actually be chosen or rolled for on critical hits. But you can't put a lot of equipment onto a light mech, really. You can't put big weapons like what Tarron was saying.
Because it all weighs.
Yeah.
Right? So you've got plenty of critical spaces. You've got plenty of room for things, but you don't have a lot of weight for anything.
Yeah. So you can free up weight by doing ferrofibrous and endo steel, and that will take up slots. But they're not eligible for taking damage. No. You have to re-roll those.
One of the good ones for light mechs is an XL engine, but the XL engine puts engine locations into the torso. And that's not good for critical hits, right? You take 3 engine hits and you're dead, and an Innosphere XL engine will put 3 engine locations in each torso.
Yeah.
So that doesn't really help. But if you can find a way to put maybe a laser or a piece of equipment, something that actually has a critical location that can be rolled into those spots, then that soaks up those critical hits.
Like ammo bins, but that sort of doesn't help you either.
Like ammo bins. Yes.
Heat sinks are pretty popular. They sort of spread them around. Like, obviously you want heat sinks to go into legs because that's always good. You go into water and it helps with that. But if you've got some heat sinks, put them into the torsos if you've got the space and there's nothing else to put in there. Just in case you get some critical hits there and you've got something.
So heat sinks, jump jets,
like Guardian ECMs.
Yeah, ECMs, tag, that sort of thing. You can put them in there to soak up critical hits. It means you won't have that thing anymore. Okay, so if, like, I put my tag system for the commando that I did in our Pimp My Mech one, I put that in the head because I didn't want to lose it. Yeah. Right? If the head comes off, it's dead anyway, but I didn't want to lose it, so I put it up there to be safe. But you could put it in a torso just to soak up critical hits. That's not a big deal.
Okay. So going back to our little example, the PPC hit the left torso. It stripped all the armor off the front and 2 of it went inside, which allows for a critical hit. All right?
Yes.
Now let's say that this person was very unlucky and the opponent rolled a 12. So you have 3 critical... Because it's a torso, you can't blow it off. It's only limbs. So you've got 3 critical chances. Left torso is completely empty. So it's going to transfer into the center torso, and that's bad.
That's bad.
Very bad.
It's very bad. The fewer critical hits, the less damage you can take on your center torso, the better off you are.
Yeah, that's right.
Because that's where all your important stuff is. Well, besides the head, obviously, but that's where all the important making it go stuff is.
So there's, 6 locations for a standard fusion engine, which is how it goes, and you've got 4 for gyro, and... He's got 2 locations that are roll again. Yeah. You know? So and you 3 hits is going to really screw this mech over. It doesn't matter which way.
Yeah. And you can see on there that it's 1 to 3 is the top and 4 to 6 is the bottom. And then you roll another D6 to see which actual one you get.
Yeah.
But with 3 critical hit locations, and it has to be those, then you have a very, very, very good chance of that mech being taken out.
Yeah.
And... that is not because the center torso was destroyed. That is because a left torso with nothing in it was destroyed.
Yeah, and per the rules, has to transfer. You get criticals. You've earned them.
Yep. This guy doesn't have anything that's multi-location.
No. Let's have a look at...
But we can put someone up that look, there was a PPC there. That'll do.
Oh, yeah, the catapult.
The K2... Oh, standard catapult has LRM-15s. Right, so we'll bing a standard catapult sheet. Bing.
So the CPLT-C1. Standard workhorse mech.
Yay. My fave.
What's that meme that's going around? It's the cartoon. The guy slaps the whatever. Have you seen those?
Don't think so. Yeah. I'm not a meme guy.
Never mind.
Never mind. They'll know.
It's a catapult. Standard workhorse thing. Anyway. Okay.
So he's got the LRM-15s in the arms, which are multi-location items. So when you have, say, an LRM that says it takes up X number of tons and X number of critical locations, those locations are all connected. Okay, so you'll see that by the little bracket thing that they put around that particular piece of equipment. Doesn't matter what it is. if it's a multi-location piece, it'll have that little bracket around it. You'll notice it's not around the engine locations. Those are all counted as separate things. But if you hit one location of a multi-location
piece of equipment or weapon or
whatever it is, if you hit one of those locations, then that piece of equipment, weapon, whatever it is taken out.
Yep.
It's no longer there.
Yep.
Right? It's non-functional. But you can still take hits, soak up critical hits with the remaining spaces.
Yeah.
Okay? It doesn't make it any less functional or less not functional. It just soaks up critical hits, which can be a good thing.
Yeah. So that one location, you cross it off, weapon's useless.
Yep.
Don't cross out the others because the weapon's not valid anymore. Keep those. Like Tarron was saying, if you hit those, if you get another critical and you roll that location, that's valid, and that can save you a lot of hassle.
It can. It can save you a lot of hassle, especially for the catapult there, because the only other two options are the shoulder and upper arm actuators. So that won't be good.
Yeah.
But yeah. So that little bracket around there is something to look out for on your record sheets, and it's generally mentioned in the equipment when you're building mechs or when you are modding mechs or whatever. It will have it X number of slots, and you always have to put them consecutive.
It's good to know that there are some weapons out there that take up a lot of slots.
Yes.
Some of them may actually take up more than you have available in one location, in which case you're allowed to share them. Okay, so if you have something in your right torso that takes up, say, 13 slots, for example. I know that there's a heavy Gauss rifle.
Yeah.
And I think that takes up like 14 slots or something like that. It's really huge.
It's huge.
It's huge. So basically you can fill up, say, the right torso, and then you can put some into the center torso.
Yeah.
It has to be on torsos, I believe.
You could probably fill the arm up and move on to the torso.
I'll need to double check that, because I think they have some restrictions onto what it can share, but yeah, it can go between different locations if it's big enough. But there might be some special rules. But again, all those locations, if you take one of them out, the whole weapon's useless, but you've got all those other slots that are good.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah. I mean, big weapons, yes, you'll lose them if they take a crit, but they still serve a purpose, because especially if your armor's starting to get down. If someone starts peppering you with SRMs and things like that, it's 2 points, 2 points, 2 points. You don't want it to be going into your like fusion engines and gyros and stuff like that. That's bad.
You want to soak those criticals up with something.
Yeah.
And yeah, sticking to like smaller weapons that don't take up as much space means you keep them active for longer. But having a big one in one spot that covers multiple locations means that once it's dead, it's just soaking criticals.
Yeah. At least with the smaller weapons, you can still fire them until they get taken out.
That's
so
it. So your standard medium laser is only one space. So that medium laser can keep shooting as long as that one space doesn't get a critical hit. Something like a PPC takes up 3 spaces. So it can keep shooting as long as none of those spaces take a critical hit.
I think that's why the medium laser is quite a popular weapon. Doesn't weigh a lot. It does decent damage. It's got a decent range. You can have multiples of them. You can put them into slots. So, like for the example, like the Locust, you could, or even small lasers for this guy. I think he's got a couple of medium, a couple of small. You could maybe rearrange it a bit, but
move those 2 small lasers down into the torso, and that soaks 1 critical hit up at least, and saves your engine. You can do all sorts of things, but yeah, the medium laser is your base. I think that's kind of your base level. That's your baseline weapon.
It's a good weapon.
It's a good solid weapon. It does a good amount of damage for a decent amount of heat at decent range, and then you go either up or down from there, basically, for varying degrees of awesome or bad, depending.
So if you do blow a limb off, just getting back to like the 12.
Yep.
So you will actually color all that in. All the critical slots are essentially filled. That location is gone. If you get an arm hit on that side, it will go to the torso on that side. So you completely skip the arm if it's not there. And the same and then you just keep transferring everything like your criticals, like we were saying. Everything transfers.
Yep. There was a thing that was saying something. I can't remember what it was now.
There you go, multi-slot components.
Yeah, that was multi-slot components was what I was talking about before. if all possible slots in a damaged location suffer critical hits in previous phases or turns, it transfers.
Yep.
There was something about...
I say the suspense is killing me.
No idea. I'm sure I had something and I've lost it. It's gone.
Okay.
But that's, yeah.
That is pretty much it. Now that's only talking about BattleMechs. So you can get critical hits on vehicles. We won't cover that in this because we just want to focus on the mechs for now. So we will be doing videos. We've talked about it for ages that we're going to do videos on this and going to do videos on that, but there's just so much to cover for mechs and weapons that we're working on right now. We'll be busy as.
If a location is destroyed rather than just damaged, no check for critical hits in that location is made unless it contains one or more explosive slots.
Yes, that's right.
In that case, any resulting critical hits that strike explosive slots in that location are resolved as normal.
Yep.
And hits that do not are discarded.
Right.
So if you do have a mech with, say, ammo in its arm for some reason, right, and the damage that you do to that arm is enough to wipe the arm out, then you've got critical hit chances because you've hit internal. If there's ammunition in that arm, then you get to roll. If there's no ammo in that arm, then there's no point, right? It's done. You've done your critical hits. You've destroyed the arm.
Yeah. So you don't risk the ammo exploding because you've chosen limb gone, right?
Well, because it's not gone, right? Because the damage has wiped that off, right? You still have a chance for critical hits.
Okay, so you still roll.
Right. So say you roll a 10, you get 2 critical hit locations to the left arm. If there's no explosive components in the left arm, then you don't need to bother rolling.
No. Right,
they don't transfer. Okay. If there's explosives in there, the main one is ammo, right? If an ammo bay is on that limb, then you do roll your locations. You roll your 2 locations. If you roll the ammo, then it explodes as normal. If you don't roll the ammo, then you just ignore the hits. Okay. That's a fairly important one because the ammo can do a boatload of damage on the way out. And it is entirely possible for you to completely destroy that arm and even transfer some damage to the torso, but not actually roll for criticals because the arm's been destroyed. The criticals are done, right? You've done it. It's another one that I always get a bit confused about, but if you roll a 12 on critical hits, say you did, for the Locust, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 armor points there and 3 internal. So let's say you do 5 damage to his arm, okay? You get to roll a critical and you roll a 12. It blows the arm off, it's gone, all right? You don't roll for ammo or anything in there that could be in that arm, it's just gone. If, on the other hand, you roll and you get 7 damage to that arm, you've basically destroyed that arm. And you do get to roll for criticals, but if there's no ammo there, then you don't bother to apply them. Okay, they don't transfer, they stay in the arm and you roll them against this and that's it. It's already dead. There's no point. If it's got ammo in there, then you roll them and you figure out where they are, and if you hit the ammo, then you apply the damage.
Yeah.
That one messes with my head every time. That's why I always put ammo in the torsos, because they're a bit safer.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so generally a bit more armor, and I think on the hit location table there's more arms than torso locations for hits as well, I believe. So
basically,
I don't know.
But that one is a little iffy. If you're still not sure, whack a comment down and we'll type this little bit out. But that's basically it.
Yeah. But if you have a look at page, was it 124 on Total Warfare, the main book, main book. And what was it, page 30 or 31? Page
30 and 31
talks about it.
Yeah, after damage, you apply damage and then you apply critical hits. And it then goes into, on 32 and 33, it goes into what each critical hit applies when done.
Yeah.
So what a critical hit to a gyro does and all that sort of stuff. But this, how to apply them, is a little bit iffy sometimes. So hopefully that cleared a little bit of it up. despite my brain fart.
That's it. But it's good. It's good to know. And yeah, when you're building and designing your mechs, or even when you're picking one that's already designed as part of the fluff and whatever else, you know, part of the canon, you can look to see where everything's placed and how many critical slots it has and how damaging that location is going to be.
Yep.
Yeah, something to keep in mind.
And seeing empty torsos or empty arms or whatever, it can make you think twice about a mech. It doesn't usually for me, but it can make you think twice about taking a mech.
Yeah.
Because that transfer of critical hits is really rude sometimes. But
That's it.
Yeah, all good.
Okay, well, thank you for watching. Hopefully we've helped you. I think it's good.
Hopefully we haven't sown too much confusion.
Yeah, so if you like this video, if this is the first video you've seen, we have plenty more to watch for sure. But yeah, consider subscribing and hit that little notification button. We're always putting new videos up and you'll be the first to know.
Yep.
Good.
All good.
Okay, thank you.
Groovy.
Bye.
Bye, guys.